Hello, my little potato heads. It's Carla, and I'm here again in my kitchen today for a holiday special. Today, I am making Platonic Ideal mashed potatoes. Making mashed potatoes is my job on Thanksgiving. I bring them over to my parents' house every year, and all I thought I needed to do to make this video was just make that recipe that I always make, but write down the measurements. I did it, and it was a total fail. So today, I've recreated what I thought was the perfect recipe with an even better, more magical, actually excellent recipe. It is upgraded, it is tweaked, it is verified, and it is optimized. This might be my new mashed potatoes. I hope it is yours too. I'm excited to introduce Rosetta Stone as my partner for this video. I am starting to put together my first ever trip to Korea. This is a dream trip, and I'm hoping to go next year. You all know that I love Korean food and Korean ingredients, and you have even been kind enough to point out my mispronunciations of words like tok. If you've never bought tok before or had tteokbokki, which is like a delicious Korean dish that you should go out and eat. I haven't studied a language since taking French in high school, and back then everything was very much about memorization, filling in the worksheets, getting the grammar right. I never felt confident about my accent, and I never felt comfortable speaking aloud. Rosetta Stone is completely different. It is an immersive model that uses audio from native speakers, and it even has a voice recognition tool so I can practice speaking aloud and get feedback within the app.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Didn't like that.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Okay, getting better.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Yes! I have a special discount that's only offered to Rosetta Stone partners, and I get to offer it to you. The lifetime subscription is marked down from $3.99 to $149. That's over 60% off. And if you sign up for the lifetime, you have access to all of the languages forever. Remember to use the link in the video description. It is partners.rosettastone.com/Carla-Lalli-music. Thank you again to Rosetta Stone for partnering with me on this video. I can't wait for my trip. Let's talk about choices. Over the years, my potato of choice has been a fingerling potato. They are great, they're really waxy, they have a super buttery texture, but they are total pain in the tuchus to peel. And if you don't peel them before you cook them and you try to put them through the ricer with the peels on, you get flecks of skin. I don't care for that at all. When we made Making Perfect Thanksgiving and made mashed potatoes, we used German butterballs. Incredible potato, absolutely delicious, incredible texture. Have to go to the farmer's market to find them. Next up, the russet potato. That is where I landed. The russet is very fluffy, it is very starchy, and it has potato flavor. This is the potato that's used to make like McDonald's French fries. It tastes like what Americans think of when they think of potato. So I went with the russet. Next choice, steaming, boiling, roasting. I've always boiled. Then I was like, let's try steaming so that they get less waterlogged. They came out really weird and gritty and grainy. Not doing that. Went with roasting, which is the technique that I had learned from making the version with the German butterballs. And what's great about it is, number one, on Thanksgiving, you don't have to use your stovetop, you have enough going on. So they're just going in the oven at 400. The other reason why roasting is great is because it is a dry heat method and you don't want like a waterlogged, watery, diluted potato. So it concentrates the flavor. It results in a dry, very hot potato, and you want a hot potato when you rice it or food mill it or mash it, because that will keep your mashed potatoes from being gummy. So now you know the choices that I went through to get here, which is really meant a complete turning my back on my own personal holiday history, and that is okay because I've said this before and I will say it again. We are growing, we are learning, we are changing, we are forever striving, and we accept change and we accept new information and we go with it, right? Because we want to keep orbiting. So I orbited into a russet potato, which will now orbit into my oven. Next choice revolves around dairy. Milk, half and half, cream, some combination of all of those. I'm not a heavy cream in my mashed potato person because I am a heavy butter in my mashed potato person. Cream and the amount of butter that I want for it to taste buttery, it's too much. So I'm going whole milk and 2 sticks of butter. Unsalted butter, I can control the saltiness of this mixture. What's gonna happen besides just combining dairy in this pot is that I'm going to actually season the dairy mixture with garlic and thyme and salt and pepper, and all of those flavors are then gonna jumpstart the deliciousness of the mash. So I'm combining these things in a saucepan, and I'm combining them in a saucepan because this mixture has to be warm, if not hot, when it's combined with the potatoes. You can't take hot potatoes and then put a cold dairy mixture into it because you'll cool down the potatoes and you'll get a gummy mashed potato. So we can't have that. So if you have to heat up and melt your butter and warm up your milk anyway, this is a great time while your potatoes are in the oven to make added value potato liquid. So I'm adding a few sprigs of thyme, and I'm going to add this whole head of garlic. So I'm just gonna go across the equator. The papers can stay on because it's gonna get strained later anyway. And salt. I'm using 2 teaspoons in the milk mixture. The mashed potatoes will take more salt later, but this is just so this mixture is delicious and it combines with the potatoes, and start seasoning it right from the beginning. The amount of cracks of pepper in my recipe is 12. If you're not that into a pepper flavor, it's like 6, 7, you can do less. 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1 for good luck. So this is all gorgeous and mixed up and combined. I'm gonna pop this over medium heat. I'm gonna bring it up until it's simmering. And once it's been simmering for 3 or 4 minutes, I'm gonna throw the lid on it and just let it hang out and steep just like a pot of tea. Potatoes are done. I'm gonna show you what they should look like when they are done. Even though they might be tender, if you check them with a cake tester before this kind of wrinkly state, you want to keep going until they almost have the vibe of like starting to shrivel and collapse. And if you stick a paring knife into them, they're gonna pass right through with like absolutely no resistance. The resistance at the top here is just that the skin is kind of crispy because they're out there just dry, baking away. But once you get past that, it's incredibly creamy and smooth inside. So that's what you're looking for, because if they're undercooked, which I learned the hard way through a couple of failed attempts at this recipe's development, you will get these like little nuggets of uncooked potato. Almost feels like undercooked grits, and you don't want that. You want something really, really smooth, and it starts with the potato cookery. I'm going to peel these while they're really, really hot, but before I do that, we're gonna talk about different ways to turn a cooked potato into a fully mashed potato. And really there's 3 tools. There's ye olde masher. Sometimes these are in that squiggly pattern. Totally works great. You're gonna get a coarser, let's say more rustic texture. Then there is America's favorite, potato ricer. It has a disc in the bottom. A lot of models will have discs of varying sizes. So it could be like a bigger diameter for a coarser texture and then very fine. And you put your potato in there and then you squeeze it down just like a Play-Doh toy. But my favorite is the food mill. I've got the finest disc in the bottom here, but it also has like a wide one and a medium. They're also really great if you're doing larger volumes of potato because, you know, you don't want to hurt your little hand, like having to squeeze over and over. I have small hands. That really, I get like tired. I get like honestly fatigued by a ricer. So I'm going to use the food mill. I love taking it down every Thanksgiving. It makes me feel fantastic. These are very hot. Using a paring knife, using a vegetable peeler, using whatever it is that is going to work for you. You want to peel your potatoes quickly so that they stay super hot. If you try to mash a potato that has cooled down, it's going to get gummy and weird while you're trying to mash it. You'll think that you did something wrong, but you didn't. It's just some weird gelatinizing thing that happens with potato starch when it cools down. So don't let your potato cool down. Another option is not peeling. I don't like that option. I've tried it out of like save time, save a step. And it's not effective because you get flecks of potato peel in the mash. I don't care for that at all. I want to try doing it like this, like cutting it in half, like it's mashed potato dinner. Then you're holding the guys. Then we're just going to scoop. I love the idea of scooping. I think that's easier. Do whatever works for you, but get the potato flesh into this thing while it's this hot. These are ready to get smushed. My beautiful added value dairy mixture came back up to steaming hot, actually bubbling hot. It smells quite incredible. So now I've got the pot that I'm going to make the mash in. I like using a Dutch oven or something with high side so I can really like get in there and smack around. I'm gonna strain this mixture first to get the bits of thyme leaves out, the garlic skins we don't want in the finished product. It smells really, really good. This is what candles should smell like. They shouldn't smell like vanilla. They should smell like butter and garlic. Down in here, I've got that whole head of garlic. And you can either choose to do nothing with the garlic. You could take out the individual cloves and just smash them in when you're smashing the potato, or you can take those individual cloves and put them in the food mill so that when you blend your potatoes, the garlic will also get smashed to smithereens. So it just depends, like how rustic do you want a little garlic nugget surprise, or would you care not to have that? Totally up to you. But now working fairly quickly because I don't want these to cool down. And so I've got that really hot, steamy milk and butter situation down below, and the potatoes are going to get milled right on top. That's what they look like as they're coming out. I'm gonna squeeze some of those cloves out into the food mill. Ooh, Dr. Garlic Popper. Now that everybody is together, I'm gonna go back over low to medium heat to finish the emulsification essentially of the potato and the dairy together until it is smooth and creamy and tasty and perfect. I generally like using a silicone spatula or a wooden spoon, and at the beginning it's gonna look like way too much liquid for the amount of potato. Trust the process, keep stirring, keep mixing, and it's going to come together, especially if you're making the mashed potatoes ahead of time. Having them be a little bit on the looser side is gonna help you in the long run because when you reheat them, they will have tightened up. This is normally the state that I bring it to before heading over to my parents' house. And this is a great make ahead thing. People don't think the mashed potatoes can be made ahead. They can absolutely be made ahead. I would leave them in the pot that you cook them in or that you finish them in, and then transport them and then reheat them over low, and make sure that when you tell your sister to keep an eye on it and to continue stirring them all the way down to the bottom of the pot so that they don't scorch, that your sister actually does that. So you just want to keep an eye on that. Otherwise the potatoes will scorch on the bottom. That has never happened to me, but I just wanted you to not have it happen to you. Amazingly, I have ended up with a tiny little taster bowl of potatoes and a spoon that already has mashed potatoes in it. So usually I have eaten like 17 little tiny bowls of mashed potatoes before I head over for Thanksgiving dinner because you have to taste as you go. These are pretty amazing. They're very, very close to like done. I like them with a little more salt. I have been told at other holiday gatherings that they're a little too salty. My dad never says that, but my mom sometimes says. So part of me just wants to leave it alone, but actually at the time of filming, it is not Thanksgiving. It's just an ordinary day here in Brooklyn, and I would like them to have a little more salt and a little more peps. So there's so many other things that you can season at this point. You could add horseradish, you could add sour cream, you could add tons of chopped chives, you could add buttermilk to finish them right at this stage or as you are warming them back up. You could do lots of things. I would love for you to tell me about them. I don't do any of those things. I just do this. And I think that this is perfect. One more thing. If your potatoes look greasy, as I am starting to see just a tiny bit of the butter separating from the potato, I'm gonna add a splash of milk, and that's gonna bring everything back together. That might happen while you're finishing them over the heat. It might happen as you're reheating them. A splash of milk or a splash of water will give that fat something to hold back onto again, and they will get super creamy and luscious. Okay, last taste. These taste like the memory of the mashed potatoes that I had in my head with the new method that I had never done before. So somehow I have aligned the Platonic ideal in the flashback with the new modern way of pulling it all together. If you're doing a buffet, leave it in the Dutch oven. If it's super casual, the pot is hot, the potatoes won't cool down. If it's a little bit more of like uptown energy and you want to put it in a platter, that is the last thing that I bring out to the buffet is the mashed potatoes. So the turkey is carved, the gravy is steaming hot, the sides are already out there. The mashed potatoes are last because the mashed potatoes being hot makes everything hot. Hot mashed potatoes, hot gravy, you could have room temperature turkey. That's my belief. What else do we have to do here?
Put them into the fancy thing.
Okay.